Grandma, Grandpa, Nana, Papa, Mimo, Papa, Mommy, Papi, Ho, Oma, Opa, Nan, Pa. What are these? These are all names for grandparents. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life, and thank you so much for joining me today as we look at grandparenting. Yes, at grandparents, those amazing people in our life. Do you know who else is amazing? You guys, because you are watching these videos and you are subscribing and you are liking, and I thank you so much for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do want to. Well, grandparents, do we need them in our lives? Yes. Do our children need their grandparents in their lives? Yes. I really do think that we do. Family dynamics can be rife and they can be a mess, but they can also be fun and they can be beautiful and we can learn from each other. Now, there are so many sort of different names for grandparents, and there are different grandparenting styles, just like there are parenting styles. So we have like our more formal grandparents. And then we have those that are the fun-loving grandparents. We can have those that are distant or the surrogate parent. You know what? There are grandparents who are raising their grandchildren, and I applaud them for that and thank them for that hard work. And they also can be, that backbone of the family, that fount of wisdom and the keeper of all the stories. I love that there are so many different grandparenting styles, just like there are parenting styles. And I love how things just change over the years and we learn and we grow and we develop together. Are there challenges that grandparents face? Yeah, absolutely. There are. So what are some of these challenges? Well, generational differences, I think, really is the big one. I mean, we look at how much society has changed, just even really in the last generation. And I think to my grandmother, I remember she had a terrible once experience with a microwave because she didn't know how to work it and never used a microwave again. Yet my girls were born sort of pretty much knowing how to use a smartphone. We've seen so many changes, but these generational differences can create some issues, can create some challenges, especially we've done something this way. And, like my grandmother, she didn't work. She stayed at home. She did all of that. And then you swing to this area, we've got working mothers and all of these different things. So we've got these big changes and these generational differences. Different parenting styles. A lot sort of has been researched and looked into and trialed with different parenting styles. And so, how I parent is different from how my parents parented me and how I was raised. And that can create some challenges. And it's okay. We talk them through, we learn and we grow from each other. But we might find that our mix or our parenting styles might clash a little bit, but let's work that out and let's not let it cause a rift. Discipline. Can we discipline? Should we discipline? Are we allowed to discipline? How do we discipline? Discipline. That can really be a challenge, especially if there's an expectation. No, we do it this way and going on. And that is hard, to me. I think it really comes down to how do the parents discipline? But if the grandparents, are looking after, again, conversations need to be happening because this really could be something that could be a challenge or could just be something that creates some tension, and we don't want that. Let's communicate. Let's just really keep that going and understanding that there are going to be those differences. And parental boundaries. Yeah, big thing, how we say or do things to our children, the boundaries that our children have, how my husband and I have for our girls, our parents view differently. And again, it's okay. It's just another challenge. It is just something that we can all work together on. Now, one of the things that, people have raised a lot about is but what if you have toxic grandparents? What if they're just toxic? Do we really want them around our children's lives? I get that. And really my hard answer to that is no. If they're toxic, we as parents have to protect our children. And as hard and as heartbreaking and sad as it is, we have to put that line in and say, you know what? We can't let you have contact. And if we look really at the characteristics of, toxic grandparents, we're talking about the ones that like undermine and, just feel entitled that they can do whatever they want. And how dare you tell them that they can't do whatever they want? I tend to think that honestly, being a grandparent, it's not a right, it's a privilege. It really is just this beautiful privilege that you just get to love this other beautiful human being. But toxic grandparents can really feel like that entitlement will undermine, they will manipulate and try to buy affection, have their favorites. They can also be critical and judgmental and belittling of their children. Do you want that for your children? Yeah, no. I know that I wouldn't, and I wouldn't allow that really. And so maybe as parents, we have to step up and be like, you know what? In grandparenting, this is not allowed. If you want to be around our children, we can't have these behaviors. That's a tough conversation, but it might be one that has to be had. Now, there are also grandparents who are absent by choice, and what we mean by that is they just don't really want to be grandparents and they don't want to be around. That can be hurtful, to us, but also like to our children. They don't understand, like, why don't my grandparents want to be here? Again, tough conversations that you might have to have. Try not to let bitterness come into it. Be as honest and as age appropriate as you can. And, I wouldn't lie about it. I wouldn't be like, oh, they just can't, and keep making up stories. But even if it is hard and it is sad, I think our children have a right to know that their grandparents don't particularly want to be around. Because guess what? There's that other group of absent grandparents who were not absent by choice, but because of life circumstances and distance. They've got military children who are on the other side of the world and have taken the grandkids there. Or like my husband and I, we're here in America and our girls have grandparents in 3 countries. It's tough. My husband's parents did not choose for us to be here. They did not choose for us to have, our children over here. So they're not absent by choice. Like they want to be grandparents. And so we have to go to that effort to really make sure that we have that connection. And we really do try. I know sometimes I just get slack and life gets busy. Technology is great for this. We've come so far. I remember being little and handwriting letters to my grandfather because I lived in Sydney and he lived in Melbourne, an overnight train ride away. And we would write letters and you'd have to wait for the postman. And we had this ongoing game of like noughts and crosses, tic-tac-toe. And we just keep sending it back and forth through the post. Well, now, we've got email, we've got video chats. My girls love to, not necessarily video chat, but video put on performances. They'll chat for a minute and then they'll be like, hey, watch this. And they'll do like their little ice skating shows, which is like sliding around on the wooden floor or tap dancing. They love to show that. But they're making that connection with their grandparents. Marco Polo is great for that too, just sending those little videos. My girls have now started sort of getting my phone when they can and sending random ones to my parents. And I was going to apologize for that, but my parents like it, just like, hey, Nan, Park, look at what we're doing. And, but I love that they want to do that. And it is easy. And we try not to just save it for special occasions. It's not just a Christmas and birthday thing. But, like, hey, Oma, Opa, whoever it is, Nan, Park, this is the girls riding their bikes. This is the girls flying their kites. Oh, look, they're doing schoolwork. Just some of those, just the day-to-day things so that they can be part of their life. And, it takes that extra effort. As I said, sometimes I'm just a little like slack on that. It'll be better when the girls get older and I can sort of allow them maybe a bit more access, like with a phone and the internet to be able to communicate with their grandparents. But, my husband's parents are not absent by choice. And so, we need to make that connection. Now, what do you also do when you do have, grandparents on the other side of the world or the other side of the country, you don't get to see them all the time? Do what we do, adopt. We adopted grandparents for our girls here and aunts and uncles too. We just felt that was important, that they needed like those role models here as well. Someone to just love, and they've got their grandma and grandpapa here and we've got aunts and uncles. And honestly, I don't think our girls realize that they are not related by blood at all. To them, that is their aunt and their uncle, and that is grandma and grandpapa. And I love that. And they've got this connection. And again, we might not see them like all the time, but they have their American aunts and uncles and grandparents as well. And so to have that connection, why? Because I do believe that it's important that our children need older role models in their lives, and we get that through grandparents. And grandparents get that joy of just loving their grandchildren and being part of their lives and, telling the stories and those experiences. I look forward to being a grandparent. It's crazy. It is. I'm 44 and I have 6-year-olds, and I've got friends my age who are grandparents already. I'm not ready for that, even if my girls told me the other day that I looked like a grandmother because I had purple hair. I can't wait. There's opportunity to love the next generation and to speak into their life and, just be there to support my goals as they have their children. Is just going to be a wonderful thing. So grandparents, yes, they are wonderful and we need them. And they need us. Well, thank you so much for watching. And if you can, go and hug your grandparents, tell them how much you love them and that you need them. And thank you for watching today and for your support. And if you love to see videos like this and want to see more, well, you can become a champion, and you can check that out on patreon.com or on my website, LearningThis.Life.